Today's gospel reading is a strong lesson to us. It is a powerful message, and it is one that we should take seriously, soberly, and with our whole heart. It's important. Christ starts out by saying, "As you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise." The golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then it goes on. And the temptation for us Christians and for the world at large is to do good things for those whom we love, those whom we favor. And we tend to ignore the rest. But Christ gives us some strong words of caution. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend from those whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But what he tells us what to do instead, how to get out of this rut of only doing things that benefit ourselves or benefit those whom we love. He says, but love your enemies. Love your enemies. Boy, that is easier said than done. That is easier said than done. So many of us not only hate our enemies, but we use very colorful language to describe them. And that's not what we should do. Christ warns us that we should love our enemies. It's really very difficult to do that. Do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great. Do good to your enemies. That's hard. Lend is even harder. So many of us, our pocketbook is the last straw. And when we have to lend to someone we dislike, to someone who is our enemy, that's difficult. Hoping for nothing in return. That's even worse. Not only are we called to lend to our enemies whom we despise, but then we have to hope that we never get it back. In most people's book, that's just giving it away to someone you don't like. That's very difficult. He says, but your reward, if you do this, if you do these things, your reward will be great, and you will be the sons of the Most High. And then he says something very important. For he, with a capital H, for he, meaning God, Christ, the Trinity, for he is kind to the unthankful and the evil. Have you ever thought about that? The sun shines on all of us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Christ sends the rain. God sends the rain on all of us, regardless of how nasty, how mean, how many times we have forsook God, how many times we have used his name in vain, how many times we have blamed him for everything under the sun. He still sends the sun and the rain and the seasons. He still provides us with food, water, clean air. Of course, we screw up all these things with polluting it all, but God gave it to us fresh. He does this to the good and the bad, the thankful and the unthankful. And he tells us that we should do the same. Bless those who hate you. The scriptures tell us in another place. Bless those who hate you. A strong message. And he ends by saying, therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. It's so easy for us, when people are down, especially people that we don't like, our enemies, when they're down, to say, aha, that serves you right. There is a God. That's exactly the wrong thing to say. Be merciful. Be kind. Bless those who hate you. Do good. If we do that, God will bless us. He will reward us. And he says the reward will be great. And we will be sons of the Most High. Let's start out this week, going forward. And we have to start by going back and thinking about those in our life that we really don't like, those in our life that we're really angry with, those in our life perhaps we hate. And let's start by praying for them. Praying for them and praying to God that he will soften our hearts towards them. Pray for them. Think about them. If there is something that you can do now to fix things or to improve the relationship, think about how you can do it. Ask God's help. If it creates anxiety, that's good. Because from anxiety, you can create courage. And from courage, you can act. And when you act, you will get results. And those results will build your confidence and your faith. And you'll see that God does have great power, even over hatred, over enemies. And you may end up becoming very good friends and very close to those who once you called an enemy. The power of God is great. The power of love is great. But we have to do it. We have to ask God to help us. We have to ask God to help those whom we despise. And then we have to look at ourselves and see if there's any action that we can take to improve the situation, and ask God to help us and give us strength.